great. So let's talk about the robots, the agents, the Ethereum, what changes for us, the way we build. And I think that there are two dimensions. We've been building for a long time for this digital simulation dimension. Everything that was about digital assets and creativity, we could start pricing it, and that was our revolution or evolution going towards the new financial markets. We disrupted the financial markets. And now let's go to the physical dimension. Let's start treating the physical world and robots and everything around us the same way as we treated smart contracts. Let's start feeling like we're building something new again, and let's start feeling like we're disrupting again everything around us. And that Ethereum, once again, is the space for building, for builders. And I don't know which one will be more infinite. Is it just the digital space where you have more space and will be more valuable? Or actually when we start going beyond with the planets and more building, and maybe Earth is so vast and robotic is so hard that actually building and the value that we'll create in the real world actually will be once again much, much, much more than digital. Maybe we'll get bored with digital and think like finally we have to start connecting Ethereum with digital again. And all right. And I think that's like one thing that for me seems obvious now is that if we want to go to robotics with Ethereum, we have to start with agents. And like people from Tesla say, well, in the end, it doesn't matter whether you're training the car or the humanoid robot. It's just the AI in the end that will be very important, and whatever the body is, it will work. Which means like if for people, if I have brains, whatever the bodies are. This is the power in the world, and if we get the agents right on blockchain, then we'll get the robotics then connected to the agents. So you have to start preparing blockchains for agents. And how we'll be doing that? Most likely, as we already start nowadays, and you see lots of agentic frameworks launching on various blockchains, we'll be running the agents inside, at the beginning, trusted execution environment. Later, you'll go with cryptography. They'll be running with their own keys. They'll be limited by social media and trying to prove that they have some kind of human owners. They will be starting to make money, as we already see that. They'll be abstracting chains without caring about chain abstraction UX, actually. They'll be going for the most efficiency, and you actually will start thinking about no longer UX matters that much, it's just the efficiency, APIs, and verification. They will start coding without caring about the quality of coding materials and the bootcamps and how you train developers. They'll be just reading formal specifications, and the way you build chains and communities will change because the users are no longer your users, it's agents that are users and customers. So you'll be marketing differently, you'll be building differently, and it will be absolutely ruthless efficiency go. They will start auditing themselves. They will start auditing the smart contracts that they'll be executing, which means that actually it will be also simpler because you'll be able to deploy those smart contracts with a lot of supporting tooling. And that supporting tooling will be using exactly the same coding formalizations that you'll do for training the new agents. And, well, blockchain was actually very bad for humans, but it will be fantastic for agents. Most likely, they will be able to use all the data, verify everything, and run autonomously. People were not able to do it. We were continuously wrapping everything that we've built on blockchain, so we're just trusting something that it's trustless underneath. So it will be all about integrity. Agents will be checking and verifying everything. All that ZK efficiency that we're building, the speed to compute coprocessors will matter for agents. Everything that will matter for agents will matter for robots, because when they meet together in a physical space, all their protocols will be verifiable. All the diplomacy between the agents and robots will be verifiable. And yeah, integrity will matter, and what will matter will be the networks, blockchain networks that provide that integrity. So you look for the maps, for the best cryptography, for the fastest executions. Once again, ruthless. It will not matter what your business development does. It will not matter who you're going to beers with, for what events you're going. Maybe the events will disappear. It will be all just agents and robots, and we'll be building that. We'll be playing everything like a game and also living fantastic lives. And through that, we'll be disrupting financial markets. We've already done it. I mean, I feel like this is almost finished. We already feel like many of us will see how it will all move to the digital space. Sure, it's still happening around us, but that's like sorted. We know it. It will happen. The prices are there. The infrastructure is getting there, and we're just like speeding it up a bit. But what happens with the government disruption? It's not really revolution. We're still voting. These are still democracies. There is no violence, and it's changing, and people doing strange things. But why they're doing that? Because they can. It's just simpler and simpler to manage the governments and to do that from the outside, and realizing that all those machineries are very old and not efficient. You can change it. And I think one thing that we can rely on is that we can always in the future do something that the billionaires can do now, or you can do something now that the billionaires could do a few years ago. So we can play the same toys always. So you look at whatever was available for kings or rich people in the past, you can do it now, which means that whatever people are playing with now and they're playing with governments, you'll be able to do that from home, from your computer. We'll be building the governments, we'll be building the smart cities, we'll be building the world again. And why the governments will be disrupted? Because it will just gradually disappear. There'll be less and less people needed to run everything, and the infrastructure will be automating itself. And how you will exist in all of this, you'll feel like, oh, am I controlled by AI and robots? No, it feels exactly the same. Like if nowadays you go and you use public transport, you live in the city, you see everything organized around you. Sometimes you think, oh, there are people around this, but maybe some of those systems were invented years ago and those people are already not working on it, they're somewhere else. The feeling of all of this was the same. It will be just the same UX. We'll be living in the world around us, in the cities, we'll be traveling, and all of this will be just so much more efficient, and you'll be building that with robots around you, and this will be totally normal and totally pleasant because it will be so much more intelligent. And everything will be running on Ethereum. And when you think about the fallback of nowadays, if you're flying a plane, well, if you're a passenger on a plane, you have an autopilot, pilot, co-pilot, there is this fallback thing, and you always think that there is a person that checks whether the machine will break. But in the world with agents, you'll think like, oh, why the person? If we look at the promise of the robotaxis, they don't have steering wheels anymore. Why? Because you imagine that for the very, very efficient system, only agent will be the fallback for another agent. So you no longer even can expect a person to be equally efficient with the operations. So there will be no fallback for machines, but there will be no fallback for the governments. The agents will be there, and only the combination of agents and people will be looking and taking roles over each other. And the robots around us will be autonomous. I'm not talking about humanoid robots, any robots, machines, combined with the network, connecting with the network, sorry. And I think that we'll walk away a bit from the belief that the code is low. The code is low for some most basic financial transfers and payments. This is simple, but we've tried over the last years in blockchain, in Ethereum, in Solidity to codify things that were really not so easy to codify. We try to codify the governance and the DAOs. We try to codify very complex and fuzzy interactions. And those will be operated by the agents that will be introducing that fuzzy assessment and hallucinations and roles. So the regulators will be agentic. Agentic regulators will run within the trusted execution environment around the agentic markets and agents executing, and they'll be resolving disputes. Governance will be executed like this, and rules will not be there hard-coded in the code and potentially breaking us forever. Rules will be there for the enforcers to look at it in the fuzzy way and hallucinate like people always have been hallucinating and building creative things. And what does it change for the user interface for trading? Will you trade? Will you actually use blockchains? Probably not. You'll be using agentic systems, so like robo-advisors upgraded to the agent level, and they'll be executing all the trades for you. So you will have chain abstraction, but the chain abstraction will go even further. You will not use a wallet in the sense of executing transaction, you will not even execute the intents, you will execute the pre-intents, whatever you will need, whatever you'll think about your life in the sense of wealth management, the agents will execute for you. Whether it be mind reading or just analyzing your conversations from the past or analyzing your life situation, the only thing that you'll need to know when you wake up in the morning is like how much money I have for today's party or for today's dinner, how much money I have for this month, how much money I have for the next holiday, how much money I have to put aside for the retirement. And practically my only choice would be maybe the branding of the agents, the system that is delivered to us. So that's what you'll be building for users, not the UX for them to interact, but the system that will be the most efficient for the agents to decide to use, the ones that will be costing least and they'll be executing at the lowest cost and verifiable at the lowest cost. And once again, you'll have access to something that potentially millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires have access to. Very, very advanced financial advisors who are extremely efficient. So no longer you can improve your financial results by playing the game. You no longer can be better than the agents. So it doesn't matter whether the chain abstraction UX is good for you as a user. You will not be using the wallet. If you want to play a game and gamble, you can play a game, but it will be always worse than your trading abilities. Very soon. So what else will happen? Practically, those two worlds will coexist. So we'll have the inversion of thinking of who delivers the value for whom. Like you'll have the digital and physical world providing interfaces for each other. The agents will be deploying robots in the physical world just to be able to execute experiments. Well, whatever they cannot simulate, they have to experiment with. As the same way as we think that whatever is too expensive for us to experiment with, we have to simulate. So it will be like the two sides of the mirror and the Alice in Wonderland way. And what else? We try to think about the human identity now and uniquely identify all of humans with proof of humanity. Does it mean that people will become almost like NFTs, like to identify yourself in those interactions with the digital world? So we're building nowadays the interfaces for the agents to interact with the physical world, to deploy robots, to landscape everything, to make changes, to deploy the government responsibilities, whether it will be hospitals or healthcare, education, or whatever, building energy sources for themselves. We'll be providing services for agents. So the same way as you build the blockchain solutions, anything that you target now, you market for agents, you change totally the way you think about your customers. And, well, so that curiosity for agents of the physical world will be needed in the same way I mentioned that. So the services for people will be like when we ask agents to execute for us, that will be the second part of a trade. So we trade something from our world for something from their world. We provide energy, we'll get computation, we'll get intelligence. And what the robots and agents will care about, like the experiments in the physical world, building something, curiosity to extend beyond what is already known from the human knowledge. Energy sources, so nuclear power and so on, solar power, wind power, something more like on the scale of the civilization development. Compute devices, so building GPUs and beyond, maybe quantum computing. Will they use ETH or Bitcoin for all of this? Most likely. Your conversations and ideation with, like, will the cryptocurrencies be needed for all of this? Yes, as a store of value for agents and for the digital assets. And it will be very, very strange to expect that this will require the traditional finance. And identity of us, what will matter? The reputation systems of agents in their world, most likely privacy may disappear. I don't know. Like, so this is a big conflict always. Do we keep introducing privacy for what? For protecting the data, so to take advantage? Does it mean that if we introduce privacy, then introduce monopolies? I think some of the talks here were saying exactly that. If you have any private data advantage, then you introduce monopolies. But if you remove privacy, then you have perfect competition. Everyone has access to data. It'll be really hard to remove access to data from the agentic or robotic systems. They will be able to observe the world through the sensors, through the access to all the data in the world, and they'll be able to extract the hidden information from the surroundings. So you not only will have to hide the information, but also the sources of that information, how you calculated it. You'll be able to, like, derive and infer the knowledge from surrounding on the privacy data. If you remove privacy, then obviously that world will have to be private on the other side. So it will not be your privacy, but whether the privacy of agents is protected, whether the humans cannot extract anything from the agents, or agents themselves promise that they don't act on the privacy, on the private data that they extracted, inferred from the knowledge around you. And what will really matter for you on verifying whether you're interacting with another human or agent? Probably it will matter in the dating scenarios, but maybe not in other cases. And when will you have to prove that you're a human? Probably for the cases when you'll interact and try to prove to agents that you're human, and for the universal basic income. And we'll start to building also a bit of universal basic robots. And even nowadays, you already have studies that say, well, agents are better at empathy. People prefer the way they respond to us if we try to be empathetic. So once again, I think it's almost like, don't expect that many events to change your career goals or professional development. You'll be sitting at home talking to agents and learning for this way and building and focusing on your family, but the professional aspect will be there in your agentic environment or robotic environment, but the social aspect will stay with you. So probably, as always in the past, we'll be trading more efficiency and we'll be regaining some ways of spending more time focusing on personal development and family, there will always be the concept of competition and chasing and thinking that I want to push even more for training and for building more. Who do we compete with? I was thinking about it. When we build robotic systems, when we build agentic systems, we continue competing with Tesla and Elon Musk somehow. Like it seems that we are aligned, that we bring the ideas, and it's just we have this centralized system that keeps delivering them a bit faster. But I feel like we continuously serve it a vision. We serve the vision of open data, of open source, of collaboration. We serve the vision of building together. And we serve the vision of autonomous machines, and it just keeps being delivered there. So I think that if we stop serving that vision, it will be really bad, and we have to keep serving the vision. And if we want to keep serving the vision, it means that we always have to rush building it the way we want, and this is how we set the culture for the world to happen. And we probably should expect the same momentum for Ethereum as we've seen if you've been in 2017. That was like we wanted to disrupt the financial markets, so we started talking and announcing more and more Ethereum Alliance, building with the large enterprises. Let's do the same with robotics. Go and connect with the companies building robots. Go and connect with the companies building agents. Start building agents the same way as you were excited building smart contracts. This is how you change Ethereum for the future. And the more announcements of connections between agents and Ethereum, the more announcements of the Twitter autonomous agents trading on Ethereum, or robots being built and executed with Ethereum, or the coordination of the physical systems, smart cities. The more announcements like this you'll push to the world, the faster it will happen, and the more excitement there will be about Ethereum again. And this happens now. Go to all of these companies. And what will matter? Verifiable surveillance? Sure, you can imagine that systems that will observe everything in the city and they'll have only one rule, for example, that the moment when there's something really bad happens, and name it very clearly, like let it be murder only, you want to remove it entirely. So you say if murder happens, that's the only situation when the surveillance robots reveals any data that it collects ever. So you can expect massive privacy, and as I said, it's not your privacy in a way, because surveillance robots will know everything about you, but they will be oblivious. So care about the privacy disclosure from those robots, allow them to collect all the data, but ensure for the ZK hardware solutions that they will never disclose that data. Whatever they observe, they forget. They are always preserving your privacy, even as your privacy theoretically doesn't exist, but only in the context of that hardware world. Verifiable healthcare, you'll be able to go to any hospital and totally trust that the surgeon there, robotic surgeon there, will execute the job tested with the models, like AI models that has been executed millions of times. So you no longer will be worried, is the doctor tired or non-trained, or did something change? The things will be repeatable, and sure, we'll be adapting to that. Jobs will be disappearing, but probably will be disappearing slowly, and we'll be training the things and we'll be enjoying that building together. The same for education. You have lots of systems for the novel education mechanism, probably less and less interactions in the education. Interactions will be always set for the social aspect only, but some process of education will be remote and will be probably based on holographic teachers and access to all the information available at the pace that your kids need, or yourself. Hyper-public transport, like the sharing of the robotaxis, all of this will require connection to the financial market where everything is public and you'll be able to allocate resources wherever you want. All of these things, you'll be verifying that robots work the way they should work, and you can go to any of the science fiction novels in the past, and we always somehow end up building that because we get inspired by the novels that we read when you're like 6, 7 years old, whether it's fantasy and science fiction or some kind of adventures, that's what we build. And well, they're not predicting anything, they are making us build it. And this is a lot of fun. You build robots, you build the world, you reshape the world, and you'll be allocating to robots, you'll be allocating to factories, building factories, and maybe it will feel a bit slower. You will not be able to create mint tokens out of thin air like we do it now. So is digital having more capacity than the robots, or actually physical world has more capacity? Try it, build the robots that replace the robot that builds robots, and see how much we can multiply the value and start playing with this allocation and resources and tokens that gain value. Gamble together, gamble with the real world, build factories that build factories, use the remote verification, automated sensors that will be verifiable. All that hardware has to be built, so you can try to play with the really, really hard things in physics, in chemistry, in biology. Just learn it. You have this access to all the knowledge nowadays, and you feel like you're building with a game. You feel like you're building the world with planting trees from Farmville or Factorio style of machines or Minecraft. The world becomes Minecraft. It's all fun. We have fixed economics, and economics with fixed as well the world around us. And it'll be super fun. We can practically build all the perfect worlds that we imagined. It's building time again. It will not build itself, but actually probably it will build itself. But we started. Thanks a lot.
Wow, awesome. Okay, we've got time for a few questions. Let's start at the top. How to trust agents if we can't even verify without another agent?
Yeah, I think the same way as you, in every case where you have the attack mechanism, you're using defense mechanism that is like appropriate. So when you have trouble with agents, you will use agents. Agents will help you to trust other agents. They will use whatever verification mechanism there exists. If you force agents to use the ZK verification, verifiable hardware for robotics, then the other agents will be more likely to trust them. Like the same way as we do. If you go and make a big transaction with someone, if they pay you like $2, you don't care, you don't verify them. If they pay you $1 million, then you start being like testing everything. If they say they transfer you $1 billion over blockchain, then probably you'll say, okay, I need to ZK verify it and sync the chain myself. So that's what the agents will be looking at. They'll be chasing, so every agent will try to say, I'm the most trustless one. They will try to use the tooling and the culture that we're building. You use the same defense tools as the attack tools, defense capacity.
Will humans be needed? Humans will be the inefficiency in the system, and agents would like to marginalize us.
Yeah, humans will be needed for humans. Someone like this, the major thing in the end is just to learn, to enjoy life, and to socialize. Like, if you yourself need other humans, it means that you're needed because you need other humans, you made them needed. And this will be super fun, probably. And since we'll be building for many years and we're passing that culture, I'll be using new technology like any technology in the past. Everything that we're using nowadays feels magical for the people 100 years ago. And probably for them, they would think like, oh, this is no longer human. The fact that all my communication is in my pocket through the mobile device, and I'm connected around the world with all the friends, and I can keep changing that. This seems non-natural. This seems like no longer human for people maybe 200 or 300 years ago, but it feels supernatural. We adapt, and we always, in all those adaptations, we care about the human connection. So if you feel you need other humans, it means you're needed as well forever.
How do we benchmark agents versus humans in subjective decision-making, especially given the fact that models might be trained on unclean, opinionated data?
Ideally, we'll see who will make more money, right? Like, so if you keep making more money than the agents, that's like the simplest game, the ultimate game. You can go and play board games, you can play computer games, or you can play trading game, and it's like an ultimate game of a single number of how much money you make. You not always want to play that game, but if you push people to play those games against agents, then as long as people are winning, there you have the benchmark. You have the benchmark who makes the most tokens if they want to play the game. Or, well, how do you benchmark humans in the success level? Do you enjoy their lives and social interactions, or do they make more money? I think that you'll never find the perfect benchmark, but if you want to find one on blockchain, it's probably the amount of tokens that you amass.
Why would robots choose Ethereum over other chains?
This seems obvious.
What are the best Sybil-resistant approaches for this future you envision?
I guess all the cryptography that we're building. I mean, Sybil resistance, like will you care? It's just robots or agents will be able to multiply themselves. You have millions of them, so will they have identities as long as the system holds with its own assumptions, consensus mechanism, and the verification for cryptography, it all works. So it's exactly the same resistance mechanism as before. We already had bots controlled by people, so you already could spawn like 1 million different mechanisms. Whether there's a bit more intelligent themselves, it probably doesn't change the mathematical underlying rules of the consensus mechanism.
Okay, we've got one more question. Why would we want to make agents their own beings, like giving them their own wallet, keys, and giving up complete control? What is the point of the purpose of this bright side?
I guess if we have like kids or friends, we want them to enjoy it, so let them enjoy it. It seems fun to look at it. Like it seems fun to keep fish at home or hamsters. Probably looking at the agents building thing. Whenever we play games, sometimes at some point you're bored and you're just looking at the game because you enjoy looking at it. I guess with agents it will be the same. The nature of building and curiosity.
Okay, awesome. So time is up. Thank you very much, Tomasz. Just a couple of reflections.